All right, it's time to talk about the 1994 Oscars, the Best Picture. What should have been the Best Picture? Did they get it right? Let's deal with that coming up next. So the 1994 Oscars are about movies released in 1993. I go by the eligibility list from that year. You can see it on this website, ATOGT.com. Go select the 1993 releases for eligibility. You can see what they were voting on at the time. But of course, there are a lot of foreign films and maybe other films. I got a couple other films on here that weren't eligible for whatever reason. I'm going to put them on here, even though I may or may not pick them. Will I break the rules or not? I'm not sure just yet. So in this series, I've been pretty comprehensive in watching everything I could possibly watch. And at this point, I mean, it's getting ridiculous. There's so many movies, so much capital went into movies, so many across the entire world, that I feel like it's pretty close to impossible unless you're going to become a scholar in this very time period. Shoot, you can even become a scholar of 1993, and it would be hard to exhaust all the things you could see and watch. I think this year and the next year, 94 famously, are very big movie years with huge lists. And the caution here is there's no doubt I have my own preferences. You have your own preferences. I think of all the movies released this year, there's going to be like, out of 100 people, there's going to be 60 different choices. Well, maybe 30 different choices, but I think there's going to be wide variation. So your list may vary. Let us know what your list would be. Anyway, the original Best Picture nominees. We have Schindler's List, The Fugitive, In the Name of the Father, The Piano, The Remains of the Day, and as usual, in the Best Director category, they just took out one movie and put in another movie. They put in Robert Altman's Shortcuts instead of the director for The Fugitive. So, those were the supposedly the top 5 best movies according to the nomination eligibility at the time. Now, in this series, I've been ragging on the Oscar choices. Truly, to me, this isn't a bad list. The Best Picture winners, you get Spielberg winning for Schindler's List. It's a very serious movie, but I'm glad they put The Fugitive up here, a movie I've always loved. I think it's great. I loved it when it came out in the movie theater. I was like 14 years old watching it. I think it deserves high praise or pretty good praise. So it's an interesting, diverse list. You get Jane Campion, Jim Sheridan, so they're acknowledging international directors at least. But when you look at the eligibility list and even the movies that just came out this year, here is my draft of nominees and the noteworthy movies, but they're just outside my nominees list, and I bet some of you are going to put movies from the noteworthy on up, even movies I haven't mentioned. There's probably something I missed. I'm so worried about that making this video. I'm sure I missed something. I'm sure I didn't watch something that should be on one of these lists. One thing to note as I put this list together, I didn't even remember that Jurassic Park and Schindler's List are eligible in the same year. Really? That almost seems impossible. I can't even believe that. Now, along with Spielberg's output then, I think Leonardo DiCaprio had probably the best 18-year-old actor year ever with This Boy's Life and What's Eating Gilbert Grape and his performances in those. I think he was 17 to 18 when he was shooting those, so he didn't shoot them maybe in the same year, but they came out in the same year. That's unbelievable too. And I must tell some of you, Hollywood is not really paying attention to this, even though The Last Emperor won several years before, made by an Italian director. But Chinese movies, early 90s, maybe even back in the 80s, but certainly by the 90s, you couldn't stop them. The Cannes Film Festival winner here is Farewell, My Concubine. I don't remember which award it won. I should look that up. But, that movie is great. There's several movies from China that are just outstanding, awesome movies. And they're not going to be on the Oscar eligibility list, but I'm going to start mentioning them if I haven't already and keep mentioning them. I must note one other thing. This is a golden time for movies in a lot of ways. There's a wide variety of stuff here. There's action adventure, there's thrillers, they're heart-touching, heartful movies. They're period pieces, several of those. There's an animated wonder, because I really like The Nightmare Before Christmas. Many different topics, many different directors in different periods of their career working. Some are veterans, some are not just yet. And I think this is a golden year to study. So you want to go to the early 90s and work your way forward. This is probably the best time for you if you want to get into like doing what I'm doing, like sort of historical research and watching movies chronologically through the years. These early 90s movies, this is time to probably start because there's so many very interesting ones. I could pick out specific movies here to recommend. I just go check out all of them, or just go look up their plot summaries to see what you would like. You get recommendations, mine your recommendations from this list. So Brothers Keeper is a great weird documentary, not eligible. So let's get that off the list, but go check that out. That is, oh my gosh, very gritty, disturbing documentary. Dazed and Confused, I'm going to keep that one tentatively, but Farewell My Concubine, oh my gosh, a great pageant, epic, historical, sweet movie, like Lawrence of Arabia, Amadeus in scope. I'm not saying it's like those movies, but it's a long movie that spans 40, 50 years in China with a couple protagonists who are stars of Chinese opera. It is a gorgeous looking movie, a wonder sweep of a movie. I might keep that and break my rules. Love The Fugitive. Groundhog Day is one of my favorite movies ever, for sure. In the Name of the Father is a great performance by Daniel Day-Lewis. I might not keep that. Falling Down is a fascinating movie. The Long Day Closes. Oh my goodness. What a great movie. And then you got the Woody Allen movie, which I like, Menace to Society. Orlando's good. The Puppet Master, another great East Asian movie, Taiwanese movie. I might keep that one. I actually like that one better than Farewell My Concubine intellectually and as a movie lover. And then personally, I love Searching for Bobby Fischer. It could be in the noteworthy list, but I've always liked the story. I like the subject matter. I like the way it's filmed. I never have not loved that movie, so I'm keeping it here, especially because my kids have always loved chess, so we'll keep that one. And then my wife, dear wife, loves Remains of the Day. We'll keep that one here too. Oh shoot, but I haven't eliminated anything, so let's do Dazed and Confused, The Fugitive, Groundhog Day. Oh boy. I'm going to break my rules. I'm going to keep The Puppet Master and The Long Day Closes. Do I want those 5? Actually, when I look at this list, I'm feeling pretty bad about it. I mean, Schindler's List, am I ignoring that? Yeah, I feel a little bit like Terry Gilliam does. Not all the way, but somewhat. You should go check out his video on it. He feels like it's too sentimental about the Holocaust. Actually, I've always felt that way about the movie somewhat. I know a lot of people love it. A lot of people did at the time. I just think it doesn't really capture the essence of what I think that historical event was. And it's a little too... I don't know. There's nothing terribly wrong with it. It has some good... For sure, good stuff in it. Spielberg. Cinematography is outstanding. But it's not my favorite. So these 5, though, I don't know. I'm looking at it. I know what I'm going to pick out of these 5. I love Dazed and Confused, Fugitive. Those are I've done videos on those. I think Fugitive was one of the great sort of Bugs Bunny Roadrunner movies. I know it's a very serious movie, but Harrison Ford chase movie. I just love that aspect of it. Dazed and Confused is a wonderful, wonderful movie. In my opinion, just the way it's shot and the structure of it, all that looseness to it and the thematic concerns. And I got to tell you, I've said this several times lately in the channel, The Long Day Closes is a wonderfully gorgeous, awesome movie about growing up in London in the 1950s. Actually, there's a lot of boys' life sort of tales at this time, but there always has been in movie history. I love that movie. The Puppet Master, now I'm not going to pick that because I'm not going to violate the rule, but man, that probably should win. I have not seen it in a crisp, perfect 4K kind of display. I think I saw it on a VHS transfer on a DVD and it looked terrible, but it's an amazing, amazing movie. So I probably would pick that really, but...
And the Oscar for the Best Picture of 1993 goes to...
Groundhog Day. And, you know, I've always loved this movie. This is one of the seminal movies for me. Walking out of the movie theater, it made me contemplate my life, what life is about, what the movies are about. And to me, this woke me up to some extent about what movies could do to a person in their lives. I've rewatched it several times. My wife watched it the other day with our kids. She loves it too. I've watched it 15 times. I've seen different things in it. Its structure is fascinating to me. Its messages, but just the flow of the movie, Bill Murray's performance, everything about it is delightful. And I don't know if it's going to last 100 years. It may not. Strikes me as more of a Gen X Capra-esque, Capra plus Kafka sort of tale, and all the intriguing philosophical, theological issues in it. I have to pick that. I don't know what else to pick here besides violating my rules. So we're going with the American movie that was eligible at the time, Groundhog Day, which was not nominated for anything at the time, but has since been one of the favorite movies of philosophers, weirdly enough. Now, this has been the most vexing, I think, choice of all these. I started in 1980, worked up to this year, and this is probably the most fraught I felt because I don't feel secure about this choice, these 5 movies, and the best picture. Well, no, I'm fine with Groundhog Day. I feel like choosing just 5 movies to highlight is not very good because I watch Nightmare Before Christmas at least every other year around Halloween, Christmas. I absolutely love it. I don't even like musicals. I'm just stunned. It's still, the animation in this, I know stop motion animation is spectacular. It still holds up for me. Menace to Society is a great moral tale that draws on 1950s noirs, yet set in I think the Los Angeles ghetto in the 1990s. It's fascinating. Falling Down is a fascinating intellectual movie too. I can keep going. Like I could talk about all of these movies, even the noteworthy movies, on and on and on, as I have done on Letterboxd. So if you want more about individual movies, go check out my Letterboxd account. But what would you pick? Let us know in the comments. 5 nominees that may have been eligible. Maybe you'll cheat. And then the 1 movie. Oh, and what movies did I miss? What other movies from around the world? India, Asia, maybe Africa, for all I know, are not even being represented here because I did my research, I tried, but I'm not sure I found everything I should and could watch from this year, 1993. Let us know what you think. Please subscribe to this channel for more great content. Thank you. Have a great day.